everyone, welcome back. It's Kaitlin from Bandit and Cass, and today I'll be sharing my August bullet journal setup. I love to create very simplistic spreads that I can set up quickly, so the spreads that you'll be seeing today reflect a bit more of a minimalist bullet journal style. I hope this video inspires you and gives you some ideas to incorporate into your own planning system or bullet journal. And with that out of the way, grab a cozy beverage of your choice and let's get organized together. Today I'll be breaking out my 2020 bullet journal, which is a B6 Stalogy notebook. I love using this notebook because it has tons of pages that are a beautiful bright white. You'll also need your pen of choice. I really love the Muji gel pen, and if you want to do some lettering along with me, you'll need a couple brush pens. However, this is totally optional. You could break out some stamps or just use your regular handwriting if that suits you. Before setting up my spreads for August, I first like to reflect on the previous month's spreads and figure out which ones I'm going to carry over into the next month and what things I'm going to need to change or modify. So now that I have a clear idea of what spreads I'm making and how I want to design them to best serve me, let's jump into the plan with me. I always like to start planning my month by setting up my calendars so I can have a place to record all of my dates and appointments that are happening throughout the month. I start this spread by using a soft tip brush pen to letter the name of the month. I like to use a soft tip Funosuke brush pen versus the hard tip for this because I'm writing a bit of a bigger title, so I want to be able to have more control over the brush pen so I can get that really thick downstroke that I need when I'm doing a bigger letter. I like to keep this title close to the left side of the page so that I have lots of room on the rest of the page to create my calendar for the month. I really like setting up a vertical calendar because it's really quick and easy, and I really like seeing my dates in a more chronological format. In order to set up this calendar, I like to draw a line down the left side of the first column, and then in that same column I write the days of the month, so 1 through 30 in this case, all the way down the page. Then in the column to the right, I write the day of the week that each day of the month corresponds to. So now I know what days of the month there are and what day of the week each one falls under. I really like to go in and draw a horizontal line between Sunday and Monday so I can easily see where each week starts and ends. This also helps me see what weeks I'm a bit busier so that I don't schedule stuff in there if I don't need to. I also like to extend this line onto the first third of the other page. I find this gives me more room to write down events, which is really helpful when my schedule gets busy, although considering we're in isolation, that might not happen this month, but it's good to be prepared. I use the other 2/3 of the second page to list out my monthly goals. I like to just list my goals, so all I do for this section is letter a simple header that says focus. I'm not quite sure why I don't just write goals as the header instead, but maybe I'll change that up for next month. After my calendar spread, I always like to set up my task list and notes pages directly afterwards. I find when I'm working in my bullet journal, I tend to reference these pages a lot at the same time, so having them close together just makes everything a bit more efficient when I'm working with them. Previously, I've used my soft tip brush pen to create my titles and I've centered them, but this month I decided to switch it up and use my hard tip brush pen to write the title on the left side of the page. I really like having the ability to schedule my tasks in advance, so I chose to set up an Alistair method task list. If you want to learn more about this method of task scheduling, I'd recommend checking out my Alistair method video dedicated to providing information all about this method. On the top part of the other side of the page, I like to record notes, which I indicate with the notes title. And then on the bottom, I'm adding a new monthly achievement section. Sometimes I can get really caught up in work that needs to be done and what needs to happen next, and I want to create this section so that I can be a bit more present and celebrate what I've done during the month. Now that I have my calendar and my task list all done, I'm going to move on to my newly redesigned habit tracker. This is the spread that's had the most change between this month and the previous. Last month I found that I was tracking way too many habits, and because of that it was really hard to stay consistent tracking them. This month I've only decided to track my daily habits that are really important to me, which ended up being flossing my teeth, working out, and doing morning yoga. I also added a sleep tracker to this spread so I can see both how much sleep I'm getting each night as well as when during the night I'm going to sleep and waking up. I also decided to add some new things to track, and this includes tracking my daily energy levels and how many hours a day I'm on a screen. I really wanted to track how much screen time I'm getting. Although I need to be on my computer in order to do my master's university work, I noticed that a lot of my free time is also on my computer, and I want to be more aware of how much time I'm putting into my computer and dedicating my free time to other things that aren't as harsh on my eyeballs. I used the top part of the page to record the daily habits that I want to track. I decided this month to track them individually instead of tracking them all in one list, because I found that when I experimented last month with weekly habit tracking each habit individually with little circles that you fill in when you've completed the habit that day worked really well for me and motivated me every day to fill it in. So I want to try to replicate this in my monthly habit tracker to see if filling in the circles is a better method for me, or if it doesn't work, then I'll know that tracking my habits monthly doesn't really work super well for me, and I'll revert back to tracking my habits weekly. Last month I really liked tracking how many hours of sleep I got every night. I found it helped me be more consistent with my sleep schedule, as well as more aware of how much sleep I needed every night. This month I wanted to kick it up a notch and see not only how much I'm sleeping every night, but also when I'm going to sleep every night and when I'm waking up in the morning. I decided to track this by creating a kind of sleep graph. The vertical axis you see me making shows the hours of the night and day. I went from 9 p.m. to 10 a.m. since I'm a bit of an early riser, and then the horizontal axis is each day of the month. My plan here is to go in every day and mark down with a line the point at which I went to sleep and the point at which I woke up. So by the end of the month, I'll have a bunch of vertical lines showing me generally when I'm going to bed and when I'm waking up in the morning. I'm going to be taking this approach for my screen tracker as well. I wrote out each day of the month in a vertical column, and then the 8 squares between the column of days and the end of the page are going to be dedicated to marking my screen time. Essentially, one cell will equal 1 hour of screen time, and the longer line I draw means the more hours of screen time I had that day. Now the last thing I'm adding to this tracker is a daily energy tracker. I feel like a lot of the things I'm tracking in this spread, like sleep, working out, and screen time, have a really big influence on how much energy I feel like I have during the day. I want to try tracking my energy and seeing if I notice any patterns or things that might lead to lower energy levels, such as a bad sleep or a lot of screen time. I kept this pretty simple, only marking my energy as high, medium, or low, because I wanted to make the categories distinct enough that I could easily know which one I fall into that day. I think this spread is also a really good alternative to the mood tracker. I'm someone who's a very positive individual, so it's hard for me to kind of say if I have a bad mood during the day. And I find that during the day I have a variety of moods, so it's hard for me to pick one that kind of encompasses the entire day. So I feel like instead of looking at my mood, if I look at my energy, I'll be better at being objective about it. And I think it'll give me the same kind of information that I would get if I were tracking my mood, since I think your mood has a lot to do with your energy levels. This next spread, which is the last one in this monthly bullet journal setup, is a memories or monthly experiences spread. This is very inspired by my good friend Faith, who is Bullet Journal with Faith on Instagram. I'll put a link to the original spread this is inspired by in the description below, and I highly recommend you go check out Faith. She is such a nice and creative person, and she has a seriously awesome bullet journal that you need to see. Essentially with this spread, you write prompts at the top and the bottom of the page, things like saw, tasted, read, listened to, really whatever you want. Those are a couple that I went with, and the point of writing those down is you use those prompts to record things that happen during the month underneath each of them. So I'm really excited to use this throughout the month to record things I did and people I saw and all of that cool stuff. I might add a couple photos here and there, maybe a couple drawings. Essentially, this space is a place for me to get creative and record some nice memories along the way. And with that said, we are now at the end of this month's Plan With Me. I hope you guys found this video inspiring and maybe got some ideas that you can put in your own agenda or bullet journal. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you enjoyed it, as well as let me know below. And besides that, I will see you all next Saturday for a new video. Bye everyone.